We now return to engineering disasters on Modern Marvels. For 40 years, one machine was considered a nearly indispensable tool for buying shoes that fit. From the 1920s through the 1950s, no top-flight shoe store was complete without the wondrous shoe-fitting fluoroscope. Customers, most often children and their fast-growing feet, placed a foot above an X-ray tube. The X-ray passed through the foot and shoe to project an image on a fluorescent screen. There were 3 separate viewfinders, allowing Junior, Mom, and the salesman to share in the fun.
For the child, it was actually exciting. You know, Mom could say, "Come on, Junior, let's go to the shoe store." And instead of the kid going, "Oh, I have to go to the shoe store again," no, you know, now they have this new piece of equipment. It's the most modern thing. You get to actually see your feet being measured for the proper size.
The fluoroscope enticed children into stores by making shopping a gee-whiz experience. And it reassured parents that they were doing right by their child.
In the 1920s, scientific child rearing was all the rage, and mothers were being taught that they should use prepared formula instead of breast milk. Using perfectly scientifically fit shoes fit with this very, very well.
In 1950, there were 10,000 shoe-fitting fluoroscopes across America. But by 1960, the devices had all but vanished, unmasked as major health hazards. The machines emitted radiation doses of 20 to 75 rems per minute. In 2005, the maximum legal dose for workers in nuclear power plants was 5 rems per year. In 1895, German scientist Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen discovered a new form of energy he named the X-ray. Visible light cannot pass through most human tissue, but X-rays, which emanate from radioactive substances, operate on a wavelength that penetrates denser material, including human skin. Even denser tissue, like human bone, will block the ray and cast a dark shadow on a photographic plate. In the U.S., Thomas Edison immediately saw the significance of the X-ray and put his lab to work developing its potential. The Edison team invented a new device, the fluoroscope, that allowed X-ray images to be imprinted on phosphorescent screens and viewed in real time. Edison lab assistant Clarence Daly paid a gruesome price for the advancing technology. Falling prey to radiation exposure, he lost both arms to malignant ulceration before dying an excruciating death. And he was not alone.
In the first 20 years of the 20th century, dozens and dozens and dozens of workers who had worked with radiation of all kinds were dying. And in fact, they were glorified as martyrs to science.
Horrified by Daly's fate, Edison halted his radiological work and never again allowed himself to be X-rayed. But during World War I, a Boston doctor realized he could see more patients by using Edison's fluoroscope to examine veterans' feet without removing their boots. The idea caught on, and by the 1920s, shoe-fitting fluoroscopes were a hugely successful sales gimmick.
In the 1920s, the sales pitch was, it's good for your health because ill-fitting shoes can endanger your child's health. In the 1930s, with the Depression, the sales pitch changed. They started talking about, well, a pair of shoes that's well-fitting also will wear longer, so you don't have to buy as many pairs of shoes. The advertising was extremely flexible. It fit the period the same way the shoes were supposed to fit the child.
Year after year, shoe salesmen irradiated their customers and themselves on a regular basis.
When shoe store salesmen used these devices, they weren't paying any attention to the dangers. They would move them around like a big piece of equipment, like you'd move a radio or move a television set. Careful, but not too careful. Things got jostled, things got damaged, shielding got shifted.
So the foot that you're putting, or the feet, if you're young enough, that you're putting in there, not the only thing being irradiated. In fact, it's mom who's looking in one portal, it's the salesman looking in the other portal, the child is up on the little podium looking in. All of them are being irradiated all over.
Finally, in 1949, studies published in the New England Journal of Medicine confirmed what many had long suspected. The machines produced enough radiation to have caused untold numbers of deformities, infertilities, and deadly cancers. Here was a technological application that came with high risk and absolutely no reward.
The shoe fluoroscope was a gimmick in a lot of ways. It is true you could get a picture of the foot inside the shoe that you probably couldn't get otherwise, but it really didn't matter. Good, careful measurements and careful fitting of a shoe by a skilled shoe store salesman would have given you the same result.
Radiation pioneers who gave their lives to their work were called martyrs to science. Those who sacrificed their lives and their good health to the shoe-fitting fluoroscope might best be known as martyrs to commerce. The radiation exposure for a typical customer using a shoe fluoroscope was 20 times that of a modern chest X-ray. Engineering disasters will return on Modern Marvels.